Hello, welcome to He Watches Me, a horror visual novel developed by Morphe, available on itch.io, and apparently someone is watching us, and we don't like it. I guess we'll see what that means. And I don't know if there's a content warning. I actually didn't see if there was, but it is a horror game, so I'm assuming something disturbing is going to happen, so be forewarned. Let's hit the play button. He's doing it again. He's watching me. I can feel it. I can feel his eyes on me. The way they drag over my back like slugs, leaving a gross, slimy trail that makes me shiver in disgust. I don't know when this started. I don't even know why this started. But it's been happening more and more frequently over the past few weeks. Every day I come into class with hope that today will be the day he finally casts his attention elsewhere. To the teacher, to the board, to his notes, to anything besides me. But no, it's always me. Of course it's always me. I sighed heavily. Why does it have to be me? Out of everyone in our school, out of everyone in our class, why did I become the focus of his attention? I'm nothing special. I don't excel in any particular subject, and my grades are about average. I'm not into sports, I'm not in part of clubs either, so it's not like I stand out from the crowd or anything. I have a few friends and I get along with my classmates for the most part. Definitely not a popular kid, but not a loner either. Plus, my new kid status wasn't around any longer. This is my 3rd year here, so my time of being shiny and new is long over by now. It wouldn't make sense for that to be the reason. Thinking about that time, though, reminds me of the reason we moved. It was right after I entered middle school. Right after the incident, italicized. Right after my condition worsened. My hand reflexively went to my chest, laying on top of my heart as I focused on its beating. Thump, thump, thump. Good, it's regular now. Since we came here, our home life has quieted. No more loud, noisy neighbors. No more inner city smog. No more late night knocks at the door. Just peace and quiet. The occasional howl here and there, and the smell of trees. But all of that peacefulness, all of that tranquility was ruined, now thanks to him. Every day I came to school was a day I dreaded. I used to look forward to it. When I was younger, I raced out of my house every morning with the anticipation of a new day thrumming in my veins. Now I only had one thing guaranteed to me about my day. His staring. Is he staring? I don't know. Tyler's staring. Tyler was this unassuming low profile sort of guy who sat in the back of the class with his baggy jeans and black hoodie combo on every day. He sounds like an anime protagonist. Not someone I would go out of my way to talk with, not even really someone I try to avoid either. Well, I guess he's not the anime protagonist, though. He's not, right next to the window. Well, until recently, I would catch him staring at me every other day. The days I didn't directly catch him, I could still feel it. His black, soulless, lifeless eyes watching me. He does the anime, cut-in. He's gonna do a special move. All the time just watching me. I have no idea why he watches me. I have no idea what I must have done to garner his attention so intently. I just have no idea. I caught myself, stopping my thoughts right there as I let out a long, slow, and shaky breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Okay. I need to be careful, be mindful of my breathing. So quickly it may raise my pulse. If my pulse is too high, it could prompt another episode. My hand dropped from my chest, halting its muttering as I leaned over to open my book bag and take out my notebook. Mrs. Hemingworth just came into the room and was tapping the board with her ruler to get everyone's attention as our class was beginning. I welcomed the distraction. I wasn't necessarily thrilled about our first subject, but it gave me something to focus on other than the eyes that are glued to my back. I sighed, leaning over my desk after putting away my pencil. The quiz took a lot out of me. I thought I was prepared for it, but I've been so distracted lately that I couldn't really focus. Since when did quizzes feel like exams? Okay, well, here's Jessica. I feel the entire time we were in like the perspective of the narrator, but hey Sarah, how do you think you did? Oop. My friend Jessica came over to me during the class break with a big smile on her face. I could tell she must have had it easy with that quiz. I threw a rueful smile her way. Okay, I guess we're Sarah. I don't think I did very well, to be honest. She leaned forward with a knowing look in her eye. You didn't study again, did you? Nope. She sighed, her long blonde hair swaying side to side as she disappointedly shook her head. Well, you used to be better about this kind of thing. Has something been on your mind the past few weeks? Only if you knew. My eyes scanned the classroom over to Tyler's desk. It was no wonder I was able to relax right now. He had left the room. The empty seat was a sight for very sore eyes, and even though he'd be gone when I turned to look, I still let an internal sigh of relief at the sight. As if a part of me expected him to be there when I knew he wasn't. Since when has he made me feel this nervous just being in the same room with him? We've never interacted before. I can't even remember a moment where we even greeted each other. Which honestly makes this whole thing all the more suspicious. It's very sus. Again, I'm brought to the question of why me? Sarah? Jessica's hand waved in front of my face, bringing my attention back to her. Yeah? Did you hear what I said? No, sorry, what did... She gave a light sigh. I was asking if you'd like to come over this weekend. A huge grin spread across my face, and I could feel the dark cloud of my paranoid thoughts dissipating already. I'd love to. She matched my grin, sitting up with a light bounce. Good. Be sure to bring your notebook. I'm gonna run equations with you until you can do the calculus blindfolded. Can you do that? I don't know. Anyway. Wait, what? My surprise must have shown on my face because Jessica immediately started laughing. You really didn't hear a word I said a minute ago, did you? She placed her hand on my knee. I suggested we study together this weekend and have a sleepover. I got some new co-op games we can play after we hit the books. Video game. Oh. Don't worry, I'll be watching over you like your mathematical guardian angel. I smiled again, placing my hand on top of hers. Now here's a thought. Funny how the idea of Jessica watching me didn't scare me. In fact, I adored the idea. If Jessica were the one I caught staring at me all day long, every day, my heart would be pounding in elation instead of fear. Pounding. Typo. It's so much better to be looked at by a sweet pretty girl than it is to be watched by some weirdo who never talks to you. Fucking freaking weirdo this Tyler is. You really are an angel, you know. Her thumb brushed back and forth lightly on my knuckles and she tucked some of her hair back, the movement catching my eye. Oh, come on now. Was that some redness joining her freckles, or was I seeing things? I could feel my own face grow a bit warm too, and I suddenly had a hard time making eye contact. This feels very gay. Anyway, she drew her hand away to stand, and I realized the other students had begun entering the room. Next class must be starting soon. I'll text you about details, okay? She made a phone sign with her hand, shaking aside her head before crossing the room back to her seat. I watched her for a moment and could feel my smile tugging at the corners of my lips. I'm assuming. For one, I don't know how close they are, but also I'm assuming we're female. Looking at the the main menu, that's the only time I feel like we actually see the protagonist, I think. Anime eyes. And then suddenly a storm, or like a sudden storm cloud, I was gonna say shitting out the sun. No, like a sudden storm cloud shading out the sun. I felt a shadow of a dark gaze shroud me and steal all the warm fuzzy feelings from inside me. Tyler must have entered the room. And just like every other day this week, his eyes settled on my back immediately. I didn't need to confirm it, but I did it anyway in spite of myself. I knew his head must have been up just a second ago. I felt his eyes on me so intensely, it could have been my imagination. Yet there he was with his head down on his desk, hood drawn up to cover him, hiding his piercing gaze in the dark bags, shadows that made him look almost ghoulish on a daily basis. Have you considered that maybe he's just, doesn't get a lot of sleep? Maybe he has insomnia and... Anyway. My pulse rang in my ear, mine somehow not confirming the fact that yes, he wasn't actually staring at me. Yet I was hyper-aware, refusing to believe the sight before me. The low relaxation and reprieve I enjoyed in his absence went right out the window, and with it my adrenaline began pumping. My mother's voice echoed in my head. Deep breath, Sara. You need to be the one in control. And I closed my eyes, focusing on my breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. It would do no one any good if I slip into an episode right now. I absolutely cannot allow that to happen again. Not after what happened last time. Breathe in, breathe out. The rest of my classes were lost on me as I attempted to keep my pulse and breathing under control. His eyes returned to my back almost as soon as I turned around, which made focusing on anything outside of that incredibly difficult. Before I knew it, the final bell had rung and the day was over. Ding dong. Walking home from school was lovely this time of year. The heat of the day had eased, making way for the cool night air. Autumn leaves crunched under my feet, and I took in the scent of wet grass from the rain earlier this week, letting it fill my lungs completely before letting it out. The light sound crickets chirping and birds in the distance calmed me, and for a moment I let my thoughts drift into nothingness, simply enjoying the breeze. It wasn't often that I had the opportunity for such peace, especially nowadays, so I reveled in it. No thoughts, head empty. Okay, yeah, that's the meme. Honestly, by now, this was so much more preferred over how paranoid my mind has been recently. Tyler was the only person, the only thing at all that occupied my mind morning, day, and night, every school day. I didn't want to be thinking about him so frequently, but I couldn't help it. After I noticed him watching me, it was like he took over my every thought. No studying, no time spent with friends, no time spent with Jessica either. Just him. Just Tyler. I sighed. At least I was safe outside school. Out here on this lonely yet lovely street surrounded by tall trees. Completely alone and totally content. Nani. I tensed, stopping in my tracks. No way. The words left my lips before I had the thought to stop them, and I looked around me hurriedly, trying to spot the source of this uncomfortable feeling. It was as if I were a tiny mouse out in the open, and a hawk had just spotted me. I don't recognize this oppressive feeling anywhere after the last few weeks. It had to be him. It felt exactly like Tyler's eyes are on me. Damn it, was nowhere safe? I took a deep breath, trying to ease my heart as I prepared myself to look around me again. The goosebumps on my skin felt as if centipedes were crawling over me, their tiny needle-like feet pricking me down my arms. I shuddered. Breathe in, breathe out. Use the power of Haman. No, my eyes slid in anywhere and everywhere all at once, trying to spot him. Was he on the other side of the street? Was he just up the hill? No use. I don't see him. But just because I couldn't see him, that doesn't mean he couldn't see me. Everything had quieted as I searched for him. The calming sounds of far-off birds and crickets in the grass were gone now. Only an eerie silence remained, as if those creatures around me realized the danger that lurked somewhere in the shadows. I heard footsteps from far off, clicking against the pavement, and was about to wait to confirm it was him before leaving. I turned, taking off towards home at a brisk pace. I speedwalked. I couldn't run. I couldn't make it obvious I knew who was there and that he scared me. Words from some Discovery Channel special flew through my mind. Don't let a predator sense your fear. And I was his prey. I also couldn't make my already out-of-control pulse even higher, risking an episode. And she keeps saying that, episode. What do you mean by that? I'm not sure. I'm assuming like a panic attack or What does she mean? Is he really gonna take this one last safe place from me? My last refuge from his gaze. I try to put as much distance between us as possible. Can't believe this. It's like anywhere I went, there he was. I go to the lunchroom a bit earlier to beat the crowd, there's Tyler. After school in the hallways, there's Tyler. Then when I try to go out of my way to avoid the places at school I thought he'd go, there's Tyler. Tyler's everywhere. The Tyler everywhere mechanic. Again. And now I can feel his eyes on me here. I go to I go to wash my hands. There's Tyler. I go to put away the garbage, in the trash can. There's Tyler in the trash. And now I can feel his eyes on me in the streets. They scan my body over and over again as if they were a broken barcode, trying to read through my imperfections to figure out who I am. What I am. A twig snapping nearby made me jump, and I increased my pace. I wanted to turn around and meet his gaze, make him stop. Just stop following me. But I couldn't. I was too scared. If he was following me like this, on this street already far away from the school which led down to where I lived, was he trying to figure out where I live? Was he following me home? I was almost running at this point, trying to put a distance between me and that horribly oppressive gaze. It didn't matter to me that his pace was straining my lungs and sending my heart rate skyrocketing. I'll make it home soon. If I make it home, then I'll be safe. This mouse wasn't about to become a hawk's dinner. I'll escape that gaze. I'll outrun those claws that reach for my throat, wishing to pierce through and rip me apart. Go ahead and stare, Tyler. No matter how much you watch me, no matter how long you look, you're not gonna learn anything. I'm not giving you anything to work with, and I won't become your prey. Well, very intense. A week had passed since I was nearly followed home, and since then I asked Jessica to walk with me most of the way so that I could feel safer. Definitely helped. Sometimes I still feel the eyes on me, but having her with me kept my mind off of it well enough. But today, it finally happened. He finally made his move. Granted, I wasn't expecting his move to be like this, but I stared with wide eyes at the folded piece of paper placed on my desk before I even entered the room, its message repeating over and over in my mind. Okay, Sara, meet me behind the school at 4 p.m. We need to talk. Tyler. Saliva filled my mouth as if I were about to vomit. I pressed my lips together in a thin line, trying to not let the bile rise in my throat and make me gag as I focus on my breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. He was directly asking me to meet with him. I would be a fool to actually go, right? This is obviously a trap. I better bring a knife with me. Unless this could be a perfect opportunity to make him stop with my knife. To finally get to the problem and ask him just why he's been watching me these past few weeks. Okay, I'll go. If only to bring this to an end. E-N-D, all capitalized. This was excruciating. Not only was I full of nerves from the note, from the planned meeting, but the stirring hasn't let up at all. It was as if he was tearing my skin away layer by painful layer. I felt so exposed under his gaze. I just want him to stop. Please just stop. Stop it. Stop it. Stop staring at me. I turned my head quickly, fearing and anticipating our eyes to meet, but they did not. His head was down, just like every other time. I tried to catch him staring at me. Down. Facing his test paper as he scribbled something. Yet I still felt like his eyes were on me. I stared at him just like he had stared at me before, watching as his pencil moved every scritch against the paper. Scritch, scritch, scritching away his calculations and conclusions. Scritch, scritch, scritch. He picked up his eraser. Squinch, squinch, squinch. The sounds were greeting to my ears, but I only focused on them and them alone. Sara! My heartbeat flew into my ears as I turned back to face the front of the class, Mrs. Hemingworth's eyes fixating on me now. I felt embarrassed all at once under her gaze, a completely different sense of uncomfortable compared to when he stares at me, and I realized that now a few of my classmates' gazes had joined hers too. I brought my hand up to cover myself a bit from their scrutiny as I answered. Yes? What are you looking at? Nothing. I shook my head, looking back down to my test paper. I need to focus on the test, not the inevitable meeting after school. This wasn't going to be easy. I checked my phone for the umpteenth time, reading over the instructions for the app I downloaded at lunch yet again. It's one of those apps where you keep your thumb on the screen during an interaction when you feel in danger. If your thumb leaves the screen, it waits 3 minutes before sending your location and distress message to someone in your contacts. Okay, that's how we're prepared, I guess, so that we don't get super murdered. How's it work? So you put your thumb on the screen, and if it leaves the screen, it waits 3 minutes. I see some advertisement about it online months ago, but I never thought I'd need to use it. Walking down this alleyway, I was made hyper aware of how narrow it was. The cafeteria back doors and dumpsters were on one side, and a fence along a line of trees lined the other. That made running away a bit difficult. There's only 2 directions to go. I'd never been back here before. Why would I have been? This isn't a place that students often go to. So why did he pick here to meet up? Obviously so he can hide a dead body. Duh. Maybe it really was so that he could attack me. My breath caught. This would be the perfect place to get me alone. That's why I downloaded this app. If something happens, Mom and Jessica will be notified. I don't want to think about the if, though. I shook my head, pocketing my cell and keeping my thumb on the screen as I looked up, and walked further into the alleyway. I'm just thinking, what if you accidentally, forget about the app, and then, you send the distress signal, it'll be like a false distress signal, but I guess better safe than sorry. As soon as I was past one of the dumpsters, I saw him. I tried to swallow the lump in my throat, walking forward, but staying nearer to the fence line. He stood, lumbering near the back cafeteria doors, and turned towards me as I stopped. Good. You actually came. Okay. This is creepy. I never heard his voice before, but something about it made me jump. It was as if he wasn't used to talking, its coarse, gravelly texture grating against my ears and making me shudder. I couldn't even utter a response, so all I did was nod. He somewhat glared at me through his hair, under his hood, and tried to glare back through my fear. And I tried to glare back through my fear. Are you going to say anything? I swallowed thickly, opening my mouth to respond, but no sound came out. Tyler clicked his tongue at that, planting his feet and facing me fully now. I know you can talk, so say something. You came here to talk with me, right? He'd taken a half step forward, and now I suddenly realized I had already backed myself against the wall, unable to put any further distance between us. Weird. I thought he was the one that sent the message. Maybe this was a trick from a third party? Take off your hood. If you're going to talk, then he should at least show his face, right? He paused for a moment, seemingly taken aback, and I tried to focus on calming my breathing. It was already getting out of control. Breathe in, breathe out. You okay? Tyler pulled his head back, and the weight of his eyes on me made my chest feel like it was under compression. Like I'd suddenly been plunged into the icy cold depths of the Marianas Trench, and the pressure of 10,000 pounds was crushing down on me. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally scrolled the mouse through. Anyway, 10,000 pounds crushing down on me. I don't think I've ever been this close to him before, let alone with him watching me. It was suffocating. I looked away immediately, closing my eyes to the unbearable scrutinization. Are you fucking serious right now? His voice spat at me, and I could practically feel it hit me in the face. Like acid, it burned me and I winced. Fucking look at me. My eyes snapped open momentarily. He was physically pissed, his shoulders heaving with heavy breaths, and I averted my eyes to the ground. I'm not gonna stand here talking to you if you're not gonna look at me. You've had absolutely no issue staring at me these past few weeks. He took another step forward, So why start now? What? What is he talking about? He's the one that's been staring at me. My eyes snapped open, staring at him as he approached me with slow, purposeful steps. There it is. Your relentless fucking staring. He took another step forward. This is very hostile. This is like no chill. And I backed myself up against the fence. You're the one who's been following me. He stopped, brow furrowing. The fuck are you talking about? Following you? Why would I be following you? How should I know? You've been following me home every day for the past week. You're lucky I haven't called the cops on you. He stared at me for a moment, glaring so hard I could practically feel his eyes piercing my skin like needles. Then he laughed. The kind of derisive laugh one would give when calling out a joke. Oh, I see what you're doing now. You're trying to make me look like the bad guy here, aren't you? His hands flew up in the air, waving about bitterly. Teacher, Tyler's staring at me in class. His voice pitched up, making a mockery of my own. Mr. Policeman, Tyler's following me home. He spat at the ground, resuming his pointed approach towards me. What the fuck is your problem? As if I don't get enough shit from everyone. You start staring at me all day long, every fucking day. I've done nothing to you. What's your fucking deal? Or for one, could you stop swearing so much? This is a Christian school? No. His voice kept growing louder and louder, and I backed up as far as I could. The sharp edges of the leaves sticking out of the fence behind me now poking into me like tiny daggers. My pulse rang in my ears, and my face grew hotter and hotter. The sun must have come down to occupy my head for all the heat I was feeling. My hands flew up to my temples as I groaned with the pain. No, not now. This can't be happening now. I transform into a werewolf. A pain sliced through my back, tearing my flesh into ribbons. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came. What the fuck? My eyes trained on Tyler again, barely registering his look of horror through the intense throbbing of my body. His eyes flew open wide, and he took a step back from me as the tearing and ripping sound continued. What the fuck is happening to your face? I wasn't aware of it until he said it, but the sounds were coming from me. My skin ripped apart, and my bones cracked and snapped and popped. Crack, snap, and pop. Isn't that like a cereal? Anyway, my bones cracked and snapped and popped as I changed form. I'm morbing out. Actually, do people even... Is the morbid meme still relevant anymore? Anyway, I knew exactly what was happening now. The same thing that happened 3 years ago. They're not kissing now. I was thinking of this as like a twist where like... It's very similar to like a rom-com or something, where she's like misunderstanding her paranoia for like romance, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't think that theory's out of the window. I feel like they're not gonna do any kissing. I don't feel like. I was in danger. He was so close to me. I need to protect myself. What a delicious snack, I'm assuming. Anyway, I was wondering about her hair there. Maybe it is representative of like ears. Anyway, I was wondering if these ears are like just like stylistic or not meant to be ears, but maybe they are ears. Anyway, that's so much better. My mind finally felt at peace, knowing those eyes would never land on me again. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner, honestly. It solved all my problems. I licked my lips. Nom nom nom. Surprisingly, he didn't taste bad. Mom might be a tad bit upset though when I tell her I'm not hungry for dinner. But that's a small price to pay for how content I now felt. All was right of the world now. All right. Okay. There you go. So that I was wondering. This is why this is a horror game. Oh wait, what? She watches me? Oh, that's funny. That's interesting. So that's the kind of like that's twist, right? It wasn't him watching her, it was her watching him this entire time. She was the one that was like hungry. Anyway. Alright. Let's check out the extras. The extras? Okay, just some concept art. Concept art. Here's her. Again, I was wondering what these things are, Maybe it is monster ears, Here's a look at the actual monster form. Delicious. Ah. Alright. Characters. Oh. Jessica is Sarah's best friend and crush. A ray of sunshine illuminating Sarah's dull world and the first person who talked to her when she moved. Now, I don't know, is she gonna reveal the whole like monster form, I wonder? Is Jessica gonna be okay with that? I don't know. Here's Tyler, an unfortunate victim of a paranoid delusion. When he finally gathers the courage to confront the strange girl who's been staring at him every day, it ends up in his death. Now, I was wondering about that. Then who sent the note? I wonder. Or maybe he did send the note. I don't know. Because I thought it was going to be this thing where, again, it was the, I thought it was going to be like a wholesome twist, where like maybe Jessica was setting them up or something. Because it was implied that, like, Sarah wanted to talk to Tyler, so that gave me the impression that he also got a note that told him to go there, right? He was asking why she wanted to talk to him, even though it was the other way around. But maybe it's more so like he was just assuming that, right? Because he's thinking that Sara kept staring at him. Our protagonist, and misleading damsel in distress. The years ago, her condition exacerbated, causing her to transform and consume one of the neighboring kids. In order to try the true nature of the women in their family, her parents decided moving across the country was the best decision. With her mother's guidance, she's been able to keep it mostly under control with meditation. Okay, so it just runs in the family, I guess? Monster girls, eh? Alright. And then you can play the animation again, the little trailer, music, scenes. Alright, I don't know if we see all of these, but let's just, there you go. Alright, there you go. Kind of like a straightforward little game with a little twist at the end, Alright, I like it. Again, I was wondering what the narrative was going towards. Definitely one of my hypotheses. One of my hypotheses was definitely going to be like a funny twist. It's going to be comedic. I was wondering, But no, as it turns out, it was just monster. It was murder, as it turns out. Which also is fine. I don't mind that either. It was really interesting. The art is good. What art there is, I guess. There's not a lot of art. It's just the characters. I like the last CG though. It's kind of terrifying, and yet somehow, I don't know. It's very good. It's very well drawn. Anything else? The music's fine as well. Yeah. It makes sense. I was just gonna say, like, I kind of wish we saw more of Sara. Because it makes sense though, because we're from her perspective. So like. It's like a first-person perspective, and that's kind of the whole point, right? It's supposed to be misleading. You're supposed to be like, you're supposed to feel bad, for the main character, but big twist at the end, obviously, and you don't feel so bad about her, anymore. I want to say the animations are kind of interesting as well. Kind of like that too, You know how like sometimes certain words are highlighted, right, during the text and the dialogue. That was pretty interesting too. And just small little animations. I like that as well. Just small little touches, little details like that, which I find pretty cool. Helps you get immersed in the story and everything. I don't know. I don't know. I was just gonna say, like, if there's something that it's not like I didn't like it, but something that I just noticed is that because a lot of her paranoia just is in her head for like almost the entire game, really 99% of the game. It's just kind of her just having like an internal monologue the entire time, you know, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I don't know. It's just that most often you're just staring at empty spaces, you know? So there's not a lot of parts where you're actually looking at like a character or like stuff like that, right? So, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I kind of wish they did more of that, you know? Because if we're not going to be talking to characters and we're just going to have an internal monologue for most of the story, instead of like just staring at like an empty space, you know, like staring at the street or like the classroom, there's nothing, it's just looking at like a scene. I wish there was a little bit extra. The animations helped, you know, there's a bit some animations here and there that kind of helped, but I wish there was more variety, you know, especially when she's imagining stuff, right? For example, when she's like very paranoid and imagining like Tyler watching her and everything, maybe there should be more effects involving that, right? Like maybe a ghost or like eyes or something. I don't know, like a change of scenery. Maybe get like an idea of her like visual mindscape, I guess. That'd be interesting. It would home in more of the idea that she was feeling paranoid and everything. And maybe you could even foreshadow a little bit of her monster form as the story went on, right? You're wondering like, what is this monster? Who does this represent? And things like that. And then you get to the twist and you'll be like, oh, okay. You know, it represents her. You know, she's the monster or whatever. That'd be interesting. But you know, not necessarily a bad thing. I was just wondering, you know, if I would have, you know, add anything, it would be that, you know, more interesting, like just like images, you know, more interesting images or scenery as she feels more and more paranoid, right? That would be kind of cool, I would think. Because as it is, you know, often because she's just talking to herself most of the time, we're just staring at like, you know, just a background, right? But usually, at least in visual novels, in my opinion, anyway, the background is meant to be the background. You know, you don't want to be staring at the background a lot of the times. They're meant to be like, you know, they're just supposed to set the scene, but they're not supposed to be just the main thing you look at. I mean, especially in a game where, you know, like the alternative would be to talk to like characters, right? To make a bunch of like portraits or whatever to look at like characters. That would be interesting, you know, and the facial expressions and all that. But because we don't do that a lot in this game, I feel like, you know, another way to do it is just to mix it up, you know, with the more variety of like of scenes that you can look at for the player. Anyway, that's just my opinion. If there's, you know, if there's anything I would add. There you go. I mean, everything else about the game, I think is, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I like it. I like the concept, and you know, it's kind of, yeah, just well written. I didn't see much like typos or anything. So there you go. Just a well-made game. But that was it for He Watches Me. So right now, I guess, is She Watches Me. I was wondering, you know, if there was a new Game Plus mode, but it seems like there isn't. As far as I know, there isn't to be like some kind of like side story where you play from his perspective. That would be interesting. That'd be kind of cool too if you could maybe like add that kind of mode. You know, maybe just like a small thing. It doesn't have to be like a full story again. You know, because it'll be repeating a whole bunch. But it'll be like, you know, just small snippets of like Sara staring, you know, at Tyler and from his perspective, and be like kind of creepy, right? And that would kind of maybe explain why he was so hostile at the end, right? Because it was like he was getting a lot of like weird, creepy stares from her, maybe, possibly. Anyway, but there you go. That was it for this game. I guess if you're on YouTube, if you didn't know, I stream these games live on Twitch, so check me out over there if you're interested. I also have other playthroughs and channels, so you can look for that if you want. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you then.